The very first thing you and I are going to do is we are going to buy ourselves a domain name, and we are going to get ourselves some web hosting as well. Now, I don't want to take it for granted that you know what web hosting is or what a domain name is, because I assume that you are a complete beginner. So let me take it from the very beginning. A domain name is essentially your website's address. Okay, so say for example, CNN.com, that is the domain name for the CNN website. It's as simple as that, basically. Web hosting simply refers to the company that will host your website. So essentially, they'll be the ones responsible for making sure that your website is always accessible, and they also have the responsibility of ensuring that your website, at least to a certain extent, is safe from hackers, and they also have to ensure that they do backups for your website as well. That's not to say that you don't have to do any of that. You can also take steps to back up your website as you please, or even add additional security precautions to your website. But essentially, your web host will be the ones that will be responsible for making sure that your website is always accessible 24/7. Now, this is a website called SiteGround. These guys host websites, and I would like to recommend them to you because I have worked with different web hosts before, and they are by far one of the best I have ever worked with. They are not as big as other web hosts such as GoDaddy or Bluehost, and so on and so forth. They're pretty small, but I think that's the advantage they have, because they have always been very quick to respond to my questions and whatever complaints I've had. They have always been very quick to respond. I don't think there's ever been a time I've been put on hold for more than, say, 2 minutes. And I'm really serious about this. They're very, very good web hosts, and I've never had any problems with them. So I would like to recommend them to you. If you have other web hosts that you would like to use, feel free to use them. It's not obligatory that you use SiteGround, but I'm just recommending them to you based on my personal experience. All right, so you have to think of a domain name for your website, okay? If you already have a domain name and you're good to go, you can skip this lecture and move on to the next one. But in case you don't have, I'm going to show you how you can actually buy a domain name. Now, down here, you can see they have this plan that says a free domain with any plan. So the first thing we have to do is to search for a domain name that will correspond with the kind of website that we're planning to build. Now, the website we're going to be building has to do with movie characters. Before I actually made this course, I was thinking to myself, what kind of website can I make that would appeal to most people? I'm actually a very big football fan, or a soccer fan, as those of you in the United States will refer to it as. But I'm sure not everybody is into soccer, so I was thinking, well, movies might be a better option. So I decided that we're going to build a simple website, a simple blog that talks about movie characters such as James Bond, Indiana Jones, Batman, and so on and so forth. So it is my utmost hope that you do enjoy watching movies to a certain extent. So, okay, now the very first domain name that came to my mind was moviecharacters.com. Okay, so typing that down here, moviecharacters.com, I clicked on search, and it turns out that rather unsurprisingly that the domain is not available. That is not a surprise. I mean, we have hundreds of millions of websites today, so there was always a very good chance that that domain name would have already been taken. However, we do have other options here. We have one that says themoviecharacters.com. And I was thinking probably this is not such a bad domain name at all. So I am going to pick themoviecharacters.com, and I will click on proceed. Now, from here, you can choose a package for your web hosting. Now, packages differ from how big you expect your website to be. As you can see right here, you have your startup, you have your grow big, and you have your go geek. Startup has this hosting will be for just one single website. You'll have 10 gigabytes of web space, and you will not be able to exceed more than 10,000 visits monthly. Okay, so the other one, and this is the one I usually recommend, this is the Grow Big account. You can host multiple websites with the same domain name, with the same web hosting. You have 20 gigabytes of web space, and you can also go as high as 25,000 visits monthly. This is usually the plan I go for, but if you are simply planning to get a website just for the fun of it, you're not really expecting to be a big, a huge website of any sorts, then feel free to stick with startup. But remember that you can only host one single website with the plan. So if you plan on buying another domain name, you would need to upgrade your package. So it's usually a very good idea to stick with Grow Big, because you can host many websites using the same web hosting. You only have to pay for your hosting once a year, and that's it. You can host as many websites as you want with the same hosting package. So if you click on Order Now, it will simply take you to the page where you would have to pay. Now, I'm not going to walk through this process right now because I already have an account with SiteGround. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to log in with my account and buy the domain name. However, if the chances are you don't have an account with SiteGround, so I'm taking the steps to show you how to buy your domain name. So all you have to do on this page is simply fill in the information here. Your password right here will be the one that you use with your email. Simply put your credit card information. And one thing I need to point out to you here is, right now, as you can see, the purchase information is $119 for the year. Now, the reason why this is so is because additional services have been added to go along with your package. These services are not they're obligatory. You can choose to go with them or you can choose to ignore them. The first one here is called Domain Privacy, and as you can see, they give you an example. Basically, no one will be able to find out who is the person hosting your website, who owns your website. Now, unless you're planning on, setting up a website for terrorist activities or whatever, I'm just joking. You don't need privacy, honestly. I have never used privacy before, and I'm just fine. So, again, if your website is a simple, honest, innocent website, there is no need to go for domain privacy. But again, of course, if you can afford it, then you can as well just pay the additional $12, for the whole year. The second one is called the Hack Alert Monitoring, and essentially what happens here is you will be notified whenever anyone is trying to hack into your website. Now, this is a service I would recommend if you can afford it, because it's always a very good idea to know when your website is under attack. And believe me, you may be thinking, well, who's going to hack my website? I mean, my website is a very simple website. No one cares about my website. You'd be surprised. I've had, several clients, who have been hacked before. So this is one service that I would recommend. However, later on in this course, I will show you many steps and many ways how you can actually protect your website against hackers and cyber criminals and spammers and so on and so forth. So again, it's up to you. If you have the additional money to pay for the service, by all means, go ahead. If not, you can simply skip it. So I'm going to uncheck this box as well. And as you can see, the full amount has now dropped to $95. So from here, all you have to do is to simply click on Submit Order, and you will receive a confirmation email saying, okay, you've purchased the domain name with, the hosting package. And then you will have to create an account, username and password with which you can then use to log in to SiteGround. I already have the account name and password, so I'm simply going to click on Login right here, and I'm going to log in. And from here, you can see I already have 2 domain names that are expiring. Remember that you would have to every year renew your domain name and your web hosting as well. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So I have these 2 domain names that are expiring. and it's $14.95. But I'll do that later. So let me just skip this page. All right, from here, in order to buy the domain name, I'm going to come down to add services. And this is essentially your users area. This is where you can make major changes to your account, buy additional services, and do other things as well. So I'm going to click on add services, and all right, I'm going to type the movie characters.com. I'm going to click on check domain. Let's just make sure that no one has bought the domain within the last 5 minutes. Okay. All right. So it's still available for registration. And all right, what do I have here? I'm going to check domain privacy. Register any regular domain with hosting for free. Nah, I'm fine. Let's just go with this. Let's just go with the $14.95. So submit my order. And all right, come on. All right, thank you for purchasing SiteGround hosting services. And all right, I'm all set. So that's how to buy a domain name. And join me in the next class where I will now show you how you can install. Or actually, before installing WordPress, we need to talk about subdomains. So I will talk about subdomains in the very next class. So I will see you then.